Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Rukus and Luker Got Bored. I'm Rukus.
I'm Luker.
And we got bored.
So, heard you watched the beginning of the greatest franchise in movie history the other day.
That's debatable, but I have watched several Fast and the Furious movies.
So, what do your overall, you watched the first three, right? Fast and Furious, Too Fast, Too Furious, and Tokyo Drift?
Correct, yeah. And, mainly my thought is, that was kind of cool. It's like, I'm not a car guy. I've never been into, I like the look of American muscle cars, but like cars that are just made to go fast, I really don't care about. So there wasn't that for me in the movies. But there was some stuff that I enjoyed, some funny stuff, some stuff about family that you like to learn, except for Tokyo Drift.
So, here's the thing about it. It's funny you mentioned family. That doesn't really start until the later movies. Like the first three, the whole family thing, like that's not really that much of a thing. Like in the first movie, they refer to themselves as a team. And then the second one, it's not even that because there's no Toretto in it. And the third one, there's not even a Paul Walker in it. So like that, you haven't gotten to the over the top family shit yet. Like that doesn't really start until 5, I think, is when it really starts. But
so how many of these movies are there now? 11?
There's 10 in the main thing, and then there's Hobbs and Shaw, which is a spinoff.
And I saw that the sequel for the one coming up this year is going to be called Fast X2. And
oh my god, I didn't see that. That makes sense. Because the 10 is supposed to be the first movie in I think they're calling it the Furious Saga, and it's supposed to be a trilogy within I don't know what the fuck a 12 movie series would be.
Dodecology?
Maybe. I don't know. Whatever the fuck it is. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to you getting to 10. Honestly, I'm looking forward to you watching more of them and discussing them more because, all right, so this Fast and the Furious, the first one, it's kind of a classic at this point. I mean, it kicked off a whole genre of these over the top car movies and, spawned 10 sequels and counting. And it gets a lot of hate that I don't think it deserves.
No, they're definitely not the worst movies I've ever watched.
And so there's one, all right. So the first race scene when Paul Walker gets there and he's like, I got the pink slip to my car. That whole scene is god awful. Just because of how they portrayed his car. However, it's got one and it's not even filmed. It's pure CG. But when he hits the NOS, it does like a camera shot of it going through the engine. Mm-hmm. I always liked that. I thought that was really cool. And that's about it. Like the floorboard falling out makes no sense.
Yeah.
The laptop hooked up to it going danger to manifold. That race in the canon of the movie, that race should be somewhere between 10 and 12 seconds. And it drags out for about 6 minutes and they run about 14 miles in it.
And that's supposed to be a quarter-mile race?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is.
Because I do remember someone saying they live their life 1/4 mile at a time.
Yeah. That's the famous line from it later in the movie. And so that scene's pretty trash. But when they go to Race Wars, when he races the Ferrari on the highway, these are not terribly over the top, unrealistic depictions of, Race Wars itself is a bit crazy, but these are not unrealistic depictions of what car culture was at the time. It's just that scene is done so batshit crazy. I wish that part was better.
I wish that I was mature enough not to laugh every time they said Race Wars. Cause that those words, especially in, the year of our Lord 2025, conjures up a different image.
I don't don't remember it being that ridiculous. I remember maybe being like, Race War, whatever. But it was 2001, I think.
Something
when that
like
movie
that,
came out. It wasn't as tumultuous of a climate at the time politically. I don't think it was as big a deal back then as it is now. But yeah, it is one of those things that didn't age well. So I know you're not a car guy, but what was your favorite car in the movie?
My favorite car is Dom's car. Just that American muscle look. The
Uh,
the
the
one
the
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 one that you told
Charger.
me recurs
Yeah. Oh
throughout the
yeah.
series.
Yeah, she come back. Yeah, so it is important because that's not. I mean, that's his Charger. That was his dad's car. He's never even driven it. He's afraid of it.
Yeah.
Scares the shit. His other car is a RX-7, I believe, if I remember correctly, which is a very cool car. I wish they had more muscle in the movie. Like, I get it. It was very much based around like Southern California tuner scene. Like that's where they filmed it. That's where they got all the cars from. But man, I could have done with some Mustangs, or it was 2001. Give me a Viper, baby. Like, you know.
Yeah, I just find the designs of American muscle cars more appealing than, the imported speed demons. It's just not my but also I'm not a speed guy. That's not a priority for me. For me it is all about the aesthetic. That's why my favorite car is a 57 Ford Fairlane. I just love the way it looks.
Yeah, and that's fair. I mean, a GT40 is still an amazing looking car if it goes 10 miles an hour. Like they can be both very appealing and fast.
Oh no, but what I'm saying is that those cars, the imported, the aesthetic of them doesn't appeal to me at all.
So one thing about this movie that they got right in regards to car culture, I think, and that is that there weren't many high end cars at all. Like they most of them, like most of the ones, like Jesse's in a fucking front wheel drive Volkswagen. It's a Jetta wagon. I know it wasn't a wagon. But like that is not a car. That's not a drag car. Like you don't make front wheel drive drag cars. It's just not a thing that happens. I mean, you do because that's the car you have and you want to trick it out. And that was pretty cool. Like all of them, even the Civics and shit. Like those were not like Honda didn't make the souped up Type R Civic at the time, or not. I think they did, but not like they do today. Like it looked basically the same, but yeah, they were fucking racing Accords and Hondas, and Honda is a Ford, but or Accord is a Honda, but they like there's the Eclipse at the beginning. That's the one that Paul Walker's driving, the green car. And that they were a sporty car, but they weren't fast. Like they were affordable.
It's all about what you put into it aftermarket, though.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. That's what they capitalized on. What the scene was actually like. It would be people rolling up in shitty cars, like the cars that are shitty stock that they have modified to be, something way better. Like,
no, I can definitely see the appeal of that. Like, I mean, there's both knowledge, there's skill involved in it, there's taste. That's, while it's not for me, I definitely understand the appeal of that. Like, that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, no, I was just saying. I wasn't trying to convince you of anything. I was just saying that's one thing that I thought the movie did pretty good, and was that like none of the craziest car was the Supra, and in 2001 it wasn't even that crazy. Like you could still get them reasonably easy. They're outrageous nowadays, but they weren't so much back then. And I thought that was just good. I mean, the reason that even happened was because they went to he's actually got a YouTube channel. There's a guy named Craig Lieberman. He owned the Supra. That was his car. And they put him in charge of like getting cars for the movie and stuff. So he went out, like he just went out to the fucking street racers, like the local tuner kids, and was like, hey, you want to put your car in this movie type deal? And that's what most of the extras you see are. Yeah. All of the ones that are driven in the movie they had a team building set cars. And as a result, none of the cars that are driven are anything like they're portrayed on the screen. They're all pretty much bone stock, like clapped out. They bought it for super cheap and put a body kit on it and threw it out there and added the sound effects in post. Of the cars that all the main characters drive, the only two that could actually perform at all was the Supra and the Ford Lightning that Paul Walker uses as a work truck.
That's a pretty cool truck.
It is an awesome truck, and it's the second fastest one in that movie. That Charger didn't even start. Like all that blower and shit sticking out the top, completely for show. Wasn't hooked up to anything. Complete garbage.
Yep. But at least it looked pretty.
it looked amazing. Like that was, I mean, yeah, like that movie is the reason you can't buy a Charger nowadays. Like between it and the Dukes of Hazzard, they're all gone. And Supernatural fucked up all the Impalas.
Mm.
But yeah, so that was pretty cool. I like that. But yeah, so back to the other thing, the most ragged on line and famous line in the movie, that I live my life a quarter mile at a time.
Yeah.
Vin Diesel cannot seem to undersell anything. So his delivery kind of is a little over the top with everything he does. But that is not a bad line. I would argue it's a great line. Like it tells, like, is it in, like, he's talking about illegal street racing, which is a little cringe, but you talk about like anybody that's into anything really, like, especially if your life generally sucks, like a lot of people does. Like there were times I lived my life for fucking D&D on Saturday night. Like,
yeah, no, it's a great mission statement.
Yeah. Like you live for the thing that makes you happy, and it can take you out of all the bullshit and all the everything that you hate or that makes your life suck. It takes you away from that. You don't have to think about that. You just think about doing this thing for, in his case, 10 seconds or less, and everything else just melts away. Like, it's a great line, and everybody wants to make fun of it.
I wasn't even thinking to make fun of it. I was bringing it up because it stuck out in my mind as a cool line.
Well, it gets made fun of a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like
but yeah, I'm just saying I agree with you is all.
Yeah. That one, that'll always bug me.
I'm trying to remember how everything got started. He was an undercover cop at the start of the movie, right? It didn't have him. That's Fast. Yeah. That's Fast 2, where he gets arrested and becomes a cop again, right?
Yeah. Yeah. He's undercover from the beginning, and like, it's never explicitly said in that, but like the whole, when they busted the first street race, and then they tried to arrest Toretto, like that was all orchestrated to get him in with Toretto.
Okay, because I was confused as to they saw Toretto like on the street at the street race, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't go to his house to arrest him after. Like, he just went home, like they were playing tag, and he got to go to home base, and it didn't matter.
Yep.
So putting that together, that the whole bust was orchestrated like that as well, that makes sense. But how did the triad, were they the triads or the Yakuza? The other gang, the Asian gang that was how'd they know he was going to be in Paul Walker's car?
That's not, if that's explained anywhere, I don't know how. I don't think they have official ties to anything, but I think they're Chinese, so it would have been triad. I mean, you know, a car like that would stick out, but yeah, that's what you call a plot hole.
Yeah. And also very rude what they did to that car at the end.
Very, very rude. Very.
Especially because how the hell are you going to get home now?
20-mile walk, and then they get a cab, apparently immediately after. They still had payphones back then, remember?
True. Man, you had to remember numbers back then.
I know. He does have Paul Walker at least does have a cell phone. He uses it.
It's established at the end that Dom has a cell phone as well, because his sister's got to give the number to him. To the police.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and that's when it's also established that Paul has a cell phone, because he's on it with. Yeah, I forgot about that. I mean, it was 2001. Most adults had a cell phone by that point.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite as ubiquitous as it is now, but I mean, shit, I had one. I was 16.
One thing that jumped out to me was the terrible Corona product placement. And I'm not saying, like, I know product placement is a thing that happens in movies, but it was just so clumsily and ugly done. Like, you can have any beer you want as long as it's a Corona. Shut the fuck up. What if I want a Coors Light? That
doesn't stop.
I'm sure it doesn't. But
like, at this point, I don't even think Corona's giving them money for it. I think it's a thing. Like, that Dom drinks Corona, and that's it. Like, it's part of his character. Yeah, that was pretty over the top. You may not have noticed it as much because it was just a thing in the background, but NOS, like nitrous oxide, is the gas they used. That's the one that makes it go hyperspeed. NOS is just a brand. The big blue bottles with the NOS label on it, they're now definitely the biggest, and probably it has a lot to do with that movie. But that was the product placement for it, I would argue, is even worse than the Corona, because it's in almost every scene, I swear.
Yeah, and now NOS is like Band-Aids. Like, you call everything a Band-Aid, even though it's not Band-Aid band. There.
Yeah. I think NOS is nitrous oxide systems, I think is what they it stands for, but they are just a brand, and it's all over the place.
Are they the same company that does the energy drink?
I think so. If not, I mean, they might have, well, I mean, they might have just licensed the brand, but it's the same logo, so they definitely have to be in cahoots somehow.
Cahoots. I love Cahoots. Looking
But
up
yeah,
what NOS stands for, and I'm getting all new old stock, new network operating system. It just says nitrous oxide.
yeah, like I said, I could be wrong on that. I'm not certain that that's what it is, but it is NOS is a brand name.
Oh yeah, I just the bait and switch on the whole thing. Like, I know it has to happen because movie has to happen, but why is the Asian gang storing the exact same amount of DVD players in their garage that are being looked for? Like, it just seemed too convenient and too clumsy storytelling.
Well, it
Um,
wasn't the same amount.
yeah, maybe not the same amount, but it was all the same sort of stuff that had been stolen. It just seemed like, I don't know, lazy writing to me. But we're not looking for Oscar winners with these movies either.
I think it would have made more sense, like because they say that all of them, they explicitly say that all of them were legally purchased. It would have made more sense if they were just knocking off electronic stores, like that they were also illegal, but they were acquired in a different illegal way.
I think that
Um,
would have been a much more interesting story to tell. Yeah.
yeah, and would have made more sense. I'm with you. It's a little weird that they just had like 10 DVD players still in boxes in
Hmm.
their garage. Or like maybe if they had been like, because this was a big thing at the time, like in car DVD players,
Yeah.
that would make sense because it's a garage, you know. That would, but these were just your home fucking go in your entertainment center DVD players that they just had 10 of them or however many just stacked up in the garage. Maybe they were Christmas gifts.
Yeah. The last thing I noticed about this movie is that the stunt actors looked nothing like the regular actors. Like, if you pause the one scene of Paul Walker trying to jump off, like, his hairline is so far back on his head, it's ridiculous.
I have never noticed that.
I was watching the cinema sins, so I
Hmm.
saw a couple things get pointed out like that.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah, so
never saw.
I liked the second one a lot better though. Like, I found the story to be more interesting. I love James Reamer as an actor, so him being the bitch. What was the other organization they were working out with?
That was the FBI.
Yeah,
The
there was the
DEA.
FBI, DEA. But yeah, he was the DEA agent. But man, he was his character was such a little bitch. Like, they were very clear. Like, when he's like, oh, they're running, and he goes and fucks up the thing, like the day one of this undercover thing, and he's like, oh my god, they're running, we got to go bust them. Like, you
Uh-huh.
fuck up an entire investigation on one day just because you don't know how to do your job. Like, of course there's going to be a test of some sort.
Yeah.
I also liked how they used the nitrous oxide boost animation, where it goes through the engine, but this time it was to lead you to a tracking device to show that, of course, this FBI provided vehicle had a tracker in it.
Mm-hmm. Um, I didn't expect you to come out that hot on that. My first note is hot garbage. I look, I'll watch it some, like, when I'm watching the series, I'll watch it. I'm not going to say it's the worst because 9 exists and we'll have that discussion down the road, but it's my least favorite. Like, 9 is at least so bad that it's kind of like, I need other people to watch this so we can just talk about how absurd this shit is. This one I just didn't think was very good.
I didn't say that it was good.
Well, no, I mean, not even good by my standards. Like,
Hmm.
I didn't think it was all that enjoyable.
I thought, oh god,
Tyrese, Ludacris was a great character, and Tyrese and Ludacris have a good like on screen rapport later in the movie, but they didn't really interact that much in this one. And outside of that, he's kind of just his character kind of sucks, in my opinion. Like, I really don't like him at all. A couple of the supporting characters were great, like Tej, Ludacris's character. I liked him a lot. I thought he was great, but he's very much a side character. Suki I also liked, but she's even more of a side character.
Did she come back for future movies as well?
I think she has a cameo, like a bit part in 1 or in like 9, 8 maybe, like later on, but not for anything significant. No.
Gotcha. one of the things that was weird about the movie, like, yeah, the whole Tyrese not a great character. When they go to pick him up at the Destruction Derby,
Yeah.
For one, how is that supposed to be an indicator to this guy that he's a good driver? But two, they're the whole thing like, you're not a cop anymore. No, he's not. I'm not a cop anymore. Seriously, he's not a cop. No, he's not a cop anymore. Okay, well, what are we gonna do? Well, we're gonna go be cops.
Yeah. Pretty much.
But I think
that's
I
because
like.
he's hungry.
Yeah, but he's not hungry no more. But I liked the villain, Cole Hauser. I've seen him in a bunch of other stuff. Like, he's a side guy. What else? I had another thing to say about that, and I've lost my track. But yeah, this movie didn't take itself as seriously as the first one did, and I like that about it. I you know me, I like the goofier shit.
So I will agree that it is definitely goofier, but I feel like it was trying to take itself seriously. It just couldn't.
Oh yeah, like the rat torture scene, that was definitely supposed to be serious, but it was completely undercut by the ejector seats, which we were discussing when these movies became spy movies, and I think that was the first sign of it.
It's a good, yeah, all right. Yeah, I can see that. I actually have ejecto seat as a note because I want your opinion on that. It was just so bad though. It's too cheesy. It's too much. It's the same reason I don't like 9. It's too much. However, jumping that Yanko into the boat,
so cool,
incredibly over the top. So that was some Dukes of Hazzard shit, and I was there for it.
Mm-hmm. I like that he even calls it Dukes of Hazzard shit. Like, they know what they're doing.
Yeah. That was pretty cool. And I mean, there's parts in it that are good. I like that they actually they added in some muscle, with the Yanko and the Cuda.
Mm-hmm. And
even though they had to make
motherfucker.
Even though they had to make the guys that owned them that, like, they couldn't have just had them be cool. They had to make them fucking boomer, just
guys that were cool maybe 30 years ago.
Yeah. So you're like, oh, these cars. And then they're the hero cars. Like, they're like, oh, only old people like this drive these cars, but these are going to be the ones that save the fucking day. Another thing, the way some of Paul Walker's dialogue when he's talking to Roman Tyrese is so bad. Like, I guess they were just, they were trying to show like, they grew up together. They would have also both this more like slang or whatever. But like at one point he says, "Cuh," and like, oh my God, like, did you really just say that? Or like when they're wrestling at the beginning, he's like, "I'm gonna choke you. I'm gonna choke you. I'm gonna choke you." What? Just
yeah.
What?
He's respond back with, "I'm gonna punch back. I'm a punch back."
Yeah,
I'll punch back. Like just reciting their moves, like they're calling moves in ring for a wrestling match.
Yeah.
Just WWE wrestling, not actual wrestling.
Also, the cars in this movie were a significant downgrade from the first one. They're the two main ones. The Spider, it's an Eclipse Spider, and I think he's got an Evo, which is a cool car. I hate Eclipse Spiders. I think they're shit, but Evos are cool cars. But like, I found the same dude from the first one, the Craig Lieberman, they brought him back to set up the cars for this movie too. And he fought with them, but they made a deal with Mitsubishi to put that Spider in. And he was like, fucking a Spider convertible? Really? But they kind of had to do that. And he's like, come on, can we get a 3000 GT at least? And I'm like, nope, it's got to be this. And it's going to be fucking purple and hideous.
Well, I mean, purple being my favorite color, I'll fight you on that. But also, aren't convertibles like terrible for aerodynamics and speed?
So yeah, but it's not going to have that big a play at. These are quarter-mile cars. They're only actually this movie had more road racing, so they're not even trying to hit 150 miles an hour. And at that low, the aerodynamics aren't really going to be that big of a deal. The bigger problem with convertibles is, so the roof of the car actually provides a shit ton of structure. So if you take that away, you have to reinforce the rest of it. And as a result, convertibles usually weigh significantly more than their hardtop counterparts.
Huh.
And that's a much bigger detriment to straight line speed than it being a convertible or any kind of aerodynamic deficiency.
Gotcha. I had no idea about that. I learned something new today.
Yeah. So you take something like an Eclipse Spider. Let's say a regular Eclipse weighs 3,000 pounds probably in that neighborhood. I don't know exactly, but let's say it's that. The convertible will probably weigh 3,200 pounds, and that's a lot. I mean, 200 pounds on that's almost 10%. Like, that's a
Mm-hmm.
lot. So that's one of the reasons they're not as good. Also, if you flip it, you're fucking dead. So, there's that.
Let's see. Is there anything else I wanted to bring up about that movie? I don't think so.
I don't really have much else to say about it. Largely, like I said, it's probably it's the least enjoyable one to me in the franchise, I think. So I don't really have much else to say about it.
And then all that's left that I watched is the Tokyo Drift, which, boy, if those other movies had nothing for me in it, this one had even less.
Yeah, I can't. Like, it's a good movie. Like, it's one of the best in the franchise. Like,
it was a fine movie, but it had trouble keeping my attention. I didn't feel anything for any of the characters except for maybe Lil Bow Wow. I was bummed when Han died. Han was cool. But the main character, didn't give a shit about him. The Yakuza guy, didn't give a shit about him. They just couldn't get my. There was another movie that you told me to watch that turned out to be the same movie. Never Back Down. That one, exact same movie as Tokyo Drift. I like those people much better.
Let's circle back to that. I have things on Tokyo Drift. Like, first off, homeboys from Alabama, you need to respect it, okay? All right, he is my kin.
Well, I give a shit about you. I promise you that.
Then you should care about my kinfolk, Rude. Also,
as much shit as you talk about Jersey, that's a moot point.
Yeah, but we both know it's Jersey. Come on.
I'll kung fu fight you. I swear to God.
I don't talk shit about people from Jersey. I just talk shit about Jersey.
I wasn't talking shit about him. I just said I didn't care.
But no. So also, he's the kid from Sling Blade. Like, come on.
I've actually never seen Sling Blade.
You should watch it, and for no other reason than to understand the relevant, like, how much it has influenced pop culture.
Mm-hmm.
Like that.
I do know about the French fried potatoes.
Yes, and I reckon I'm gonna kill you with it. Like, it's relevant if for no other reason than to understand the references to it.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously the movie's all about drift racing and so. There's some interesting cameos. I can't remember their names, but you remember the two dudes on the dock that are chirping him when he's practicing?
Mm-hmm.
They're like two of the OG drift racers that like invented the sport. Yeah, if I could be wrong on this, and all of our thousands of viewers will feel free to correct me. I think one of them is, I can't remember his name, but he's basically the guy who invented it, and he's the dude that Initial D is based on. The anime.
Oh, I know that one.
Yeah. I think he's one of them. I could be wrong, but I think that's one of the guys that are on the dock. But yeah, they're both just old school drift racers that they got to go out there and have cameos. And like, that would be hilarious, but I bet 99% of people that watched that movie had no fucking idea who they were. Even if they knew their names, they didn't recognize them. I guarantee.
Yeah. I mean, it's just two older Japanese dudes.
Yeah. That's unfortunate. What did you think about Twink's car?
The Hulk one?
Yeah.
I mean, me being the nerd that I am, I thought that aspect of it was cool.
It's not a performance vehicle at all. It's a Volkswagen something. I forget what. I'm pretty sure they only released it in Europe and Japan. I think it's right-hand drive only, but it was a car. It's like, it's cool. Like, it's awesome. But man, it's a statement.
And that statement is nerd.
So Han, you mentioned him. Yeah, he's great. He's an awesome character. He is in 5, 6, and I think 7. And he's great. Those movies canonically take place before Tokyo Drift. So,
okay.
It's like how he met Dom and everything. And they're fucking great. But, he's actually, so Jeremy Lin. Yeah, Jeremy Lin. Who? Hold on, let me double check. Justin Lin is the director. Han is actually from like a short film he did in the 90s. It's the same character, same actor. And in that movie, he was like a low-level gangster or something. And, he chain smoked all the time, just one after the other. but they couldn't do that in the movie. And this is more so in the later ones. I think it was in Tokyo Drift 2. He is eating in every scene. Like he's just
He
constantly
was
eating.
constantly eating in
Yeah,
Tokyo Drift too.
I thought so. And the reason that they did that instead of having him smoking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the one interview with him that I saw said that he was saying that it was his choice not to smoke in that movie because this franchise kids watched it and he
Okay.
didn't want kids to be influenced. But also at this point, it wasn't that. I mean, were kids really into these movies? I guess they would have for that one.
Oh yeah, no. Well, like teenagers
Yeah,
were definitely into these movies. Okay, maybe it was his choice, but the reason was
they
they
didn't want the
didn't want him
smoking.
smoking on screen. Yeah.
Yeah, which I think that they should bring back smoking on screen because smoking is cool.
And every time I watch Sons of Anarchy, I'm like, God damn it, why did I quit smoking?
The same thing happens to me anytime I watch Ghostbusters when Dan Aykroyd's working on the ectomobile and he's got the cigarette hanging off of his lip, and I'm just like, oh, that's cool.
Oh man, there's another one that is an unlikely thing on this, but It's a Wonderful Life, which is my favorite movie, and I make no apologies for that. But there's this scene right after his little brother gets home and they're having the party. He steps out onto the porch to have a cigarette, and he does the old school he taps it and everything. He makes it's like a show of lighting the cigarette, and then he takes 2 puffs and throws it out as they do in movies. But I'm like, man, James Stewart made smoking cool. Like, I understand why everybody fucking started smoking in the 50s. Like,
smoking does look cool. I mean, and then nicotine's a great drug. Anyway,
yeah,
let's
don't start smoking, kids. Also, talk to your parents if they're letting you listen to this shit.
Yeah. And on to our next sponsor partner, American Spirit.
If you're going to smoke American Spirits. You can't afford them, so you can't smoke that much. They're like $13 a pack down here.
They're not that far off up here.
I would have expected them to be more, honestly.
They might be now. I haven't bought a pack of cigarettes in years at this point.
Yeah, me neither. But I saw them in the gas station. That's off subject. So another thing that a lot of people had problems with Tokyo Drift, and this probably won't matter to you, or maybe it will, I don't know. But at the end, when they take that engine out of the next set that he wrecked, whichever one it was that he wrecked, and put it in the Mustang. Do you remember that?
Vaguely, yeah.
It's right after the cops, after Han dies, and they're like, and then he's like, I have to race him. And they're like, well, we got this car that has no engine, but we need an engine. So they go steal the one out of the car that he wrecked at the beginning of the movie. It's an RB-26 is the engine that they pull. A lot of people got mad that they put, this Ricer engine in that classic. That Ricer engine had twice the horsepower that Mustang came with. Like, it's an RB-26. It's like a 2.5 liter 6-cylinder, it's a badass engine. And it would make that Mustang fucking haul ass like it never had before. I just had to talk because a lot of people get real. Where the fuck are you gonna get a V8 in Tokyo?
So I wonder how true the thing is about cops won't chase you in Japan above a certain speed limit. And I wonder how many people if that's not true, have met unfortunate legal fates because of that. I heard one thing they'll do is they'll tag you with paintballs. So if they can't catch you, they'll catch you later because you got paint on your thing. And I think drones are getting involved now too.
I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know how true that is, but all right. So this is getting more into the car nerdiness. They probably dropped it by 2006, I think is when that movie came out. So it might not necessarily been a thing at the time in newer cars, but older ones it would have. So in the 90s, do you remember the Midnight Club video games?
I do.
Okay, so that name, Midnight Club, came from Japan. It was kids in their little hot rods going out and street racing and shit, doing shenanigans. They had a couple of high profile wrecks where people died and shit. And so as a result, all the Japanese auto manufacturers came together and they were like, look, if we don't do something, the government is. So they made an agreement amongst themselves that they would not release a car with more than 250 horsepower or something, 200 horsepower, a relatively low number.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, we won't release anything higher than that. So they weren't putting out super fast cars. But what they were basically doing, and this is like the 2JZ, that's the engine from the Supra. It's one of the most famous engines ever. A lot of people say it's the greatest engine ever made. It's not an LS, but I digress. Like that engine, they just built it to where you could take it to a tuner and get 600 horsepower out of it completely stock.
Jesus.
And that's not even a joke. That's why the engine is so popular, because it's overbuilt as shit. And all you have to do is turn the boost up on the turbos if you have to, whatever. And it can handle, like, I think it can handle reliably like up to 800 horsepower on stock parts. We're doing nothing but tuning it up. And that's the way they got around the 250 horsepower limit thing.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So that went from 250 to 800 horsepower, you said?
It could, yeah. Like you could, that 600 easily, 800 like is about the top end. Like you might be pushing it there, but even 600 is a shit ton. 400's a lot, especially in a little car like that. But anyways, the reason I say all that is that the cop cars probably aren't that fast, because they're not going to tune them. They're just going to get them from the factory and have them. So yeah, the realistically, they could probably dust every cop car, no problem. Was the point I was getting to, that I went on that long ass tangent for.
All right. So before we wrap up, I know you said you wanted to come back to Never Back Down and Tokyo Drift being the same movie.
I'm not done on Tokyo Drift yet.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Also, one other thing, right before, it's followed up by Honda, which is the worst. But man, that scene where they drift through Tokyo Plaza or Square, whatever that famous square is in Tokyo, and they drift through all of the people like as they're running out of the way. That is one of the best fucking scenes ever. That
Agreed.
shit was so cool.
That shit was very cool. I also was a big fan of the mountain drifting scene and just like sort of the serenity of it, you know?
Which one? The one when he's riding with the chick, or the actual race?
No, the one where he's riding with the chick and they're not doing it for the race, they're doing it for the love of the drift. And I thought that scene was really cool.
One thing that always annoyed me, so when she's talking about it, she's like, we used to come up here and we just brought whatever we had or whatever when we were kids. Like, y'all are 17 years old. Like, what was this? When you were 16 years old? I'm pretty sure the legal driving age in Japan is 16.
And if so, like, you know, if they're going up there just to watch, how are they getting up there if none of them could drive?
I mean, that would also be a thing. But no, like she mentions that, like they just brought whatever car they had. So she's talking about going up there to drive.
At 16 in Japan, you can get a motorcycle or moped license, but 18 for cars.
Well, shit, it's even worse then. Like, whatever. That was what? I don't know. Get you crazy. What are you talking about? Shit.
Also, if there's a military base presence in Japan, right? They should not be taking this kid who doesn't speak any Japanese and throwing him into a Japanese high school and expecting him to do anything at all. And I'm sure that's, you know, they've got to have educational things on military bases and stuff. Or is his dad not in the military anymore? Is his dad just in Japan because he likes it?
I can't remember if they established that he was. I think they say that he's retired and he just stayed there.
Gotcha.
I think. I can't remember if they established if he's still in the presumably Navy or not. Maybe Air Force. I know we have several bases there. I don't know if we have one in Tokyo. No.
But yeah, it just seems to me that him just getting thrown into a Japanese school isn't going to be good for anyone when he doesn't speak any Japanese.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
I'm not saying it's a plot hole or anything. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that shit happens, though.
Yeah.
Like,
really what I'm getting at is it's unfortunate for him and his development as academically.
Yeah. It definitely is. Absolutely. Anyways, yeah. So Tokyo Drift is one of the best movies ever made. And one of the other best movies ever made, I also had you watch recently.
Mm-hmm. And I enjoyed that one. I enjoyed Never Back Down much more. So because I don't care about cars, but I'm cool with dudes punching each other in the face.
They were punching whatever. DK showed up and beat the shit out of that kid.
He did. He definitely did. And he didn't defend himself at all. He saw him coming right at him, and he's like, oh no, not my face.
Yep. Anyways, yeah, so those two, all right, so like Fast and Furious 1, the Fast and the Furious, it's basically Point Break. I mean, it's got a lot of the same elements. It's pretty similar. He lets him go at the end. Dom doesn't drive off into a wave or anything, but he lets him go. Paul Walker never shoots into the sky while screaming dramatically, but they're very similar. Like but you know, it's a similar story told with different elements. That's fine. Tokyo Drift and Never Back Down, though, they're the exact same movie. I'm not saying this is bad. I like them both, but like, there's so many things that are the exact same in them. Like, agree? Yes? No?
Oh yeah, I'm 100% with you.
Okay. Yeah. Like, so I mean, they're both that you start off with both of the main characters doing the thing that's getting them in trouble that they're naturally talented at, racing or fighting a dude at a football game.
He beat the shit out of that dude too.
He beat the shit out of that guy. They immediately get sent to a foreign area. Like, one goes from fucking like Iowa to Miami, which is arguably more of a culture shock than going from like fucking wherever he was to Tokyo. Like I said, they both have that fish out of water thing. They meet some girl that is cute and is nice, and they're like, in a classroom, by the way. Both of them make the point in the classroom. That girl ends up being the fucking girlfriend of the primary antagonist of the movie. In both cases, they are somebody who was basically nothing, and then through their relationship with the antagonist have become popular. Like, Max and Twink are interchangeable.
Mm-hmm.
Just Twink's into drifting and Max is into MMA.
He even has to stop a fight where the one's getting their ass beat. He didn't really have to stop the one in No Way. Never Back Down.
Yeah,
he actually got his nose into stuff he was in his own business. But same thing, they're little buddies getting their ass beat.
And then for the climax, both of them have decided they're not gonna, participate in this shit until the antagonist starts pushing and pushing, and then they know they have to beat him in order to stop it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if Ryan's dad had shown up at the gym, like, to take it over or something, like, or whatever, like, that would have made them exactly the same. Like, I mean, they're both good, and I enjoy the hell out of both of them. Never Back Down is one of my favorite movies. Like, it's cheesy, but it's fun.
There's one reason it made me a little sad. It's because I always thought that video of the capoeira dude getting knocked out was real.
Yeah.
And then to find out that it's a scene from a movie that, gave me a minor case of the sads.
I think I had the same reaction when I found that out too. I think I may have found that out watching that movie.
That's what happened to me. I'm like, because I saw him do the handstand and then get knocked out with the one punch. I'm like, wait a minute, I've seen this before. So I went and looked up the video. I'm like, motherfucker.
Yep. Yeah, it's Never Back Down's a classic. I wish Amber Heard had done more stuff before she shit in Johnny Depp's bed, but it's great.
So I guess what's up next is I have to watch Fast and the Furious.
The naming scheme is so stupid. It's Fast and Furious.
Mm-hmm.
Just Fast and Furious. And then it's Fast 5.
Yeah. And I think Fast 6 and 7, right?
No, then it's what is 6?
Look it up.
Furious 7 is that. 6 is
Fast and Furious 6.
Okay, it's Fast and Furious. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then it's the Fate of the Furious,
and then F9.
F9, and then Fast X, which presumably is Fast and Furious X, or Fast 10, rather.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The names are, and like, look, they had no problem throwing in like Too Fast, Too Furious, right? Why was it not the Fate F number 8 of the Furious?
And also the Fast and the Furious is all I'm saying. I'm saying it would have been a great title.
Fast 5 would have been great if they had done an Ocean's 11 thing and they had just had 5 of them. But no, they have like 9. 5 is one of my favorites in the series. Like, it's one of the most fun to watch. It's when things really start. It's when they start getting pretty unhinged. Like the climax scene in that movie is, you've probably seen videos. It's the one where they drag a bank vault through Rio de Janeiro.
Oh, yeah. And then they copied that for Pirates of the Caribbean.
I don't remember that in Pirates of the Caribbean, but
yeah, it wasn't in the first one. I forget which one it's in, but they ripped a bank vault out of the wall And then Johnny Depp is riding on and in the bank vault trying to get to the boat.
That must be one of the last one.
It might be.
That's definitely not in the first three, which I think the first three would have predated Fast Five. I think they came out before it. Fast Five was 2011. But that's the one where it starts getting a little out of hand, and then 6 is when they become spies, and it just gets more spy-er than that. But they do introduce some interesting characters, like Michael Douglas is Kirk Douglas is in it. One of those guys, huh?
I mean, is it the younger one or the older one?
Well, I think they're both old at this point.
Well, yeah, but one's the other's dad. That's what I was saying. Was it the guy that was in Ant-Man?
Yes.
That's Michael Douglas.
No. God damn it. Maybe I don't even have his fucking name right. Hold on. I have to look this up. This is going to bug me.
Like Ant-Man? Bugs.
I hate you.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
I watched this movie like 2 months ago. It's Kurt fucking Russell. God damn it.
Kurt Russell. Okay. Yeah. I fucking love Kurt Russell. Perfect.
It's not either of the fucking Douglas. Jesus Christ. Kurt Russell. Anyways, he's pretty awesome. He just goes by Mr. Nobody. And he's cool. He's just like a super spy guy. I like him a lot. I enjoy him in the movies.
Yeah, I've got some. Kurt Russell's one of my favorite actors, and one of my favorite things is he's really good at playing guys who are supposed to be cool but really aren't. Like Snake Plissken, he's not actually that cool. You know, he's smaller than he is. Jack Burton from Big Trouble in Little China. We could do a whole video or a whole episode on Kurt Russell someday. But
put that on the list.
Love that guy. Yeah,
we should do like Big Trouble in Little China and the Snake Plissken movies.
Yeah, I like those movies a lot.
It's been a long time. Which one was the first one? Escape from L.A.?
New York was first.
New York. It's been a long time since I've seen that, and I'm not sure I've ever seen Escape from L.A.
It's a pretty different movie.
Yeah, I'll check them out. Big Trouble in Little China, also insane. Like,
and also like you kind of got to watch also alongside them. Big Trouble Little China and Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai, because they got like the same writer and some of the same stuff, so they've also got some similar, not really plot or anything like that, but a similar energy that I really like.
This was all your plan, wasn't it? This was
to get you to watch Buckaroo Banzai.
Just a big long con to get me to watch Buckaroo Banzai.
I mean, it's been over a year since I asked you. Anyway,
master of the slow burn. That's fine.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to watching more of these Fast and Furious movies. As much as I may have said that I didn't really enjoy the third one, I do enjoy it. I'm looking forward to watching 4, 5, and 6 for the next episode of Rukus and Luker Got Bored.
Yeah, I don't know how much more 4 is probably the most serious one in the franchise. Like it takes itself seriously.
It does, yeah.
It's good though. I really like it. It's I would argue it's one of the best made movies in the series. Yeah.
All right. Well, we will see, and we will talk about that next time. That brings us to our first Fat Guy Pro tip of the new year. And here's one. If you're going on vacation, they don't cost much. Get a portable bidet. Bring it with you. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Y'all have fun.